Now at 6 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, a morning confrontation near Vanderbilt leads to one person getting shot. Fireworks can be fun on New Year's Eve. They can also be dangerous. And Texas finds a new way to send migrants to Chicago.
One more chilly night and then we warm up for the weekend. We'll talk all about that and more, but first, here's Zach.
Plus a wild finish for the Victoria West Warriors. I'll have that in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker. Karina Garcia is off tonight. This morning, the Jackson County Sheriff's Office responded to a man who's carrying a rifle in Vanderbilt. 25 News Now reporter Adarius McCormick has an update on the situation. Adarius, we heard the man fired shots at officers when they arrived.
He did shoot at officers. The sheriff's office say Martin Lugo Jr. fired several shots at deputies who responded to the call in Vanderbilt today. Authorities Lugo was intoxicated and carrying a rifle near Karunkura Street. After he shot at deputies, they returned the fire and hit Lugo twice. Emergency workers stabilized Lugo on the scene. The 30-year-old suspect was taken to a Houston hospital by medical helicopter. The sheriff says this appears to be an isolated incident. However, the Texas Rangers are also investigating this deputy-involved shooting. Don, back to you.
Adarius, thank you. There are a total of 6 candidates running for mayor of Victoria. Bob Constantine is one of those candidates who is a local businessman. Constantine says that he would like to see positions like the Victoria Police Chief and Victoria Fire Chief come from within, hiring, retaining, and promoting our local workforce, and hopes that those who work in fire and EMS would stay to work in Victoria.
Well, the biggest part is try to keep the police officers and the firemen here in Victoria is that we as taxpayers, we usually pay for part of the funding of their education, but if we pay for the full funding of their education to be a firefighter or to be a peace officer, have those young men or women go ahead and sign a 5-year contract with the city. That way we're guaranteed to get our money's worth.
The special election for Victoria Mayor will be February 3rd. And now let's take a first look at your forecast. In for First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Pettis, here is meteorologist Howie Gordon. Howie, it's like a copying machine. Every day this week, weather is beautiful.
I'll take that. Encore performance after encore performance after encore performance for sure, Don. Now, here's what we got. We're warming up in the daytime. We still got one more chilly evening ahead of us. But then what's going to happen is for the new year, a boundary is going to come down and cool us down at the same time, spike up those winds a little bit. So maybe by Sunday, not till about Sunday into Monday, we could start to see some gustier conditions, 20, 25 mile per hour winds here in the Crossroads. But overnight, we'll be at about 36 degrees, another chill down. But look at tomorrow, right around 70 with lots of sun. So Don Brubaker definitely knows what he's talking about when it comes to weather. We'll talk more about it coming up, Don.
Howie, thank you. Fireworks are a staple, for any New Year's Eve celebration. But a recent study shows 11 Americans died and 10,200 others were taken to emergency rooms because of fireworks in 2022. Those numbers come from the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission. The newest member to our news team, 25 News Now reporter Lupe Zapata, has some safety tips.
This fireworks stand just a mile outside of Victoria city limits will soon be empty because of New Year's festivities. I spoke with 2 fireworks stand operators who tell me that safety is often something that's overlooked.
Of course, the sparklers look innocent, and they are if you handle them correctly. But incorrectly or in the wrong hands, they can become dangerous. A lot of people will hand them to their very young children without thinking that that is sparks, that is fire, and a lot of children get burned.
As the operator of Firework Frenzy a few miles from downtown Victoria, Michelle Williams has a lot of stories about local firework injuries. Just last year, fireworks landed her daughter in the emergency room.
An ember came down and, because she was looking up, of course, landed in her eye, which landed her in the emergency room and had burnt part of the cornea. So it's very dangerous.
Michelle urges an important safety tip to remember is being aware of what she calls dud fireworks not lighting correctly, especially the popular artillery shells.
You should not try to relight them. That means there is something malfunctioning in the firework itself. and it then becomes dangerous. You should immediately pour water on it, throw it in a bucket of water, something, but do not relight it.
Up the road, John Hilliard, owner of Fireworks Attic, says the item he sells out of first are Roman candles. He warns children should not be using these type of fireworks, especially since they rank top 5 for most dangerous in a recent study by the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission.
You just got to be very careful with them, because if you don't do them correctly, then they could actually, the balls could put somebody's eye out or could start a fire or something like that. So you never hold it or point it at anybody, you just point it away.
I met with Marshall Frazier, Assistant Fire Marshal for Victoria County, as he inspected some of the 22 fireworks stands in the county. He wants to remind people, if you live in city limits and want to enjoy popping fireworks, the county has the option of Patriot Park, also known as Saxett Lakes. There you can light fireworks in a safe, supervised area, but only on New Year's Eve.
And all they have to do is clean up after themselves, and we have the fire department on scene to, if anything gets out of control.
And wherever you ring in the new year with a bang, according to Michelle, the most important thing to remember when it comes to fireworks is distance.
Back up far away from it, and wait till you know that the firework is completely done before walking back up towards it.
Michelle tells me, although these sparklers might seem innocent, it's just not worth it to light in city limits. If caught, you could get a citation of up to $2,000. I'm Lupe Zapata, reporting for the first time in my hometown for 25 News Now.
Welcome home, Lupe, and you can take your fireworks and shoot them off at Patriot Park on New Year's Eve. The Victoria County Fire Department tells us it will be open for fireworks from 5 p.m. to midnight. They will have at least 2 brush trucks on hand, and trash bags will be available. And here's your viewer poll this evening. Scan that QR code on your screen to vote. Here's the question. Do you plan to use fireworks this holiday weekend? Yes, no, or you're not sure yet? Let's look at the numbers. 17% say yes, you're going to shoot firecrackers. 76% say no. And 7% say, well, they're not sure yet. We thank you for voting. We want to hear from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part, and I'll have an update on 25 News Now at 10. A group of migrants seeking asylum arrived from Texas to Chicago late Thursday by train. City officials there now begging for federal help with the crisis.
Our cameras were rolling when about a dozen men, women, and children arrived to Chicago by Metra train Thursday night. They told police officers and OEMC there to meet them they came from Texas. The group apparently sent from there to Glen Ellen by a rogue bus, one of the buses chartered by the Lone Star State that are dropping off asylum seekers in Chicago suburbs outside of city protocols. Nearly all those arriving tonight unprepared for the cold, some wearing short sleeves and flip-flops, the children and babies covered in only a sheet. From here at the Ogilvie Transportation Center onto a yellow bus. Next stop, some sort of shelter.
We simply can't handle anymore. We're not equipped for it.
As buses continue to arrive daily, some, like Second Ward Alderman Brian Hopkins, now desperately calling for federal aid.
Now we're spending $300 million of our own funds. That's about 5% of our federal municipal budget to address a problem that didn't even exist a year and a half ago. Where's the federal government been?
Right now, there are nearly 15,000 people staying in 27 shelters across the city. This latest arrival coming only one day after Mayor Brandon Johnson warning the city is nearing capacity.
Without significant intervention from the federal government, this mission will not be sustained.
The U.S. Department of Justice says they will sue if Texas enforces their new law punishing illegal border crossings. You can read this Texas Tribune article on our website, crossroadstoday.com. SpaceX smashed its previous annual record for orbital rocket launches, pulling off 96 successful missions in 2023 at a blistering average launch pace of every 4 days. CNBC reports SpaceX, based near Brownsville, this year achieved 91 launches with its Falcon 9 rocket and another 5 with the Falcon Heavy, topping its previous annual record of 61 orbital launches in 2022. This week, SpaceX also set a new company record for shortest time between orbital launches at just under 3 hours. That's quick. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Then you can see Crossroads Today on YouTube. And stay with us, coming up on 25 News Now at 6. After being convicted of murder in Austin, Caitlin Armstrong reveals new information for her appeal. Also ahead, a very big weekend of holiday travel is forecast for the next 2 days.
Here's a look at Community Crossroads this weekend. We first sit down with 5 of the 6 mayoral candidates for mayor of Victoria. We talk to Josephine Solis, Dwayne Crocker, Carissa Winters, Jacob Salceda, and Peter Brown. We also have some voting information as well and your monthly viewer poll.
Caitlin Armstrong, the woman found guilty of first-degree murder this year in Austin in the death of star professional cyclist Moriah Wilson, claims she was pregnant at or near the time she was arrested for the killing. KXAN reports the admission of Armstrong's pregnancy is included in a lengthy motion for a new trial filed in Travis County on December 15th. Armstrong was sentenced to 90 years in prison on November 17th. Armstrong says there is new evidence that was not available at the time of trial. BlendJet is recalling nearly 5 million of its portable blenders. The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission says the blenders can overheat or catch fire, and the blender blades can break off. The company says it has received more than 300 reports of the blades breaking off while in use. It has also received 17 reports of overheating or fires that have resulted in property damage claims. BlendJet says there have been 49 reports of minor burns and 1 report of someone getting cut. Texas liquor stores will be closed for 61 straight hours to start the new year. The liquor stores will close Saturday at 9 p.m. and reopen Tuesday at 10 a.m. The Texas Liquor Control Act, signed into law 2 years ago, mandates no liquor stores can be open on Sundays or on major holidays like New Year's Day. The law does not affect beer or wine sales. Today is expected to be one of the busiest days at airports across the country as Americans return home after the holiday rush and others travel to celebrate the start of the new year. The TSA is expecting to screen millions of people at security checkpoints across the U.S. today alone.
One of the biggest days of the holiday travel rush is here.
We have a bunch of stuff, so we're just trying to hustle through it and get back home.
Between Americans flying back home after Christmas and others taking off to welcome in the new year, the TSA is expecting to screen more than 2.6 million people at airports nationwide. Friday alone, air traffic controllers anticipate handling 43,000 flights. FAA Administrator Michael Whitaker says they're prepared.
We've been through it before. We have a command center in Virginia that really looks at the entire system, where there's potentially weather, where there are delays. We communicate with the airlines and make sure we're running as smoothly as possible.
Travel experts say remote work habits are reducing the crush at airports.
More people are staying longer, coming earlier, leaving later, and so it's spreading those crowds out a bit.
Compared to last year's holiday travel meltdown, the performance of U.S. airlines is significantly improved. Carriers have canceled less than 1% of all flights over the last week, according to figures from FlightAware. But if you were one of the few unlucky passengers impacted,
once you realize your flight's canceled, run to the customer service counter, try to be first in line, but also get on the phone with the airline. Finally, have the app installed on your phone, because sometimes you can just rebook yourself.
AAA had predicted 7.5 million passengers would take flight between December 23rd and Monday, January 1st, the busiest ever at U.S. airports. I'm Ivan Rodriguez reporting.
One more chilly night ahead, and then we have some nice weekend weather with New Year's Eve day included. We'll talk all about it in just a moment. All right, let me get out of your way here. Warmer this weekend, rain next year, and a cool down for next year as well. Let's break all that down in the next 3 minutes or so. So today, we made it back into the 60s once again after dropping down into the 30s. We're going to have one more chilly night, and then we're looking at temperatures to be around average or even above that for the weekend. Back in 1921, I'm a little jealous, 84 degrees. I'll take the 80s, but you want to know what? Right around 70 with sunshine, which is what we're headed towards. That is very nice as well. As I mentioned, one more night before we start to see this Gulf moisture return from the southeast, from the south to warm us up. We're going to have another cool down. We can see nights again dropping down into the 30s, maybe even for an hour or so. Some spots dropping into that freezing range of 32 degrees or below that. But we're headed towards a nice weekend with a nice little warm up. But we will chill down after a quick cup of coffee after the new year. All right, let's take a look at what we have for our winds, because what's going to happen is a boundary, which I'm going to show you in a moment, coming our way. That's going to spike up our winds. Not until Sunday and into Monday, we'll start to see some gusts, maybe in that 20, 25, or maybe a few spots in that 30-mile-per-hour range. I'm talking Sunday and into Monday when the winds start to elevate as that boundary pushes through South Texas. Dew points down again with these numbers on the lower side, not going to hold a lot of heat in. So we'll have another cool night, but a couple days from now after the new year, we'll start to see some more Gulf here and then some storms push in. We'll see these numbers on the higher side. All right, what's going on? So high pressure is basically taking over our atmosphere since our last boundary came through last weekend, Christmas Eve into Christmas Day. So high pressure keeping us clear of clouds, allowing for sunshine, but at the same time, allowing us to be on the cooler side overnight. But what's going to happen? High pressure is going to move off. That Gulf return now, warm moisture pushes in, and we're going to warm up over the weekend. But rather quickly, what happens is you see that boundary from the north. That's going to start to come back down, going to bring the cooler air, spike up our winds, and then eventually what's going to happen here, I'm going to show you. So it's going to push into the area, clear us out of clouds for the most part, but then what's going to happen is another storm pushes in from the west, and this should be in that Tuesday, Wednesday time frame. That could bring us some showers here to South Texas, and then move out rather quickly in the next day or so after that, before high pressure comes in, starts to do its thing all over again. I know weather, it's up and down, but hey, we got some good days ahead with some warm temperatures, and I'm looking forward to it. 61 degrees for our water. That's not really swimming weather. Seas now, okay, 2 feet or less. Winds just at 10 knots. Finally, we're back to some smooth bays. We've been kind of choppy for a number of days. So this evening in the 40s, that's not too bad. But again, I said one more chilly night and morning, we're going to drop down to around 36 degrees, okay? Wind's not too bad, so that 36 might not be horrible. But again, another blanket maybe, socks, some slippers, and yes, if you go outside, probably a jacket. But as I mentioned all the time, as long as it's not that windy, I can tolerate it within reason. So 68 though, with some sunshine for tomorrow. That's looking absolutely fabulous for, let's see, the day before the last day of the year. Then what happens though is that boundary comes in after New Year's Eve day, 74 degrees. That boundary comes in, knocks us down, and then, as I showed you, that storm eventually moves in and brings us some showers to the Crossroads. Another app, that's at crossroadstoday.com. That is free with any Android and iPhone, and now we'll send it right back to Don.
Thank you, Howie. And Zach Brown has your sports. A lot of holiday hoops going on.
Holiday hoops. The Victoria West Warriors trying to win the Victoria Classic, and the Hallettsville ladies on a roll. Stick around. I'll have that in sports. In the Victoria Classic tournament, the West Warriors taking on the Cole Cougars. First place on the line. They were leading by 3 as time winding down, but Cole hoists a 3, banked home, plus the foul. The Cougars with a chance at a 4-point play and the lead with 7 seconds remaining, but it's going to rim out. So the Warriors with only 2 seconds remaining trying to draw up some magic. They're going to get it in cleanly. Beautiful backdoor cut, beautiful pass, the layup good as time expires. The Warriors beat the tough Cole Cougars 59-57 to take first place in the Victoria Classic. The aftermath of that basket, the celebration, the boys get that first place trophy. Bo Woods takes home the Victoria Tournament MVP honors. Sean Meddy got all tourney honors. What a game. The Hallettsville girls also with a chance to win their tournament, taking on Little Cypress Mauriceville, and they get it done, taking home MVP honors. Macy Herring, who dropped 14 points in the championship game, and all tournament honors was Leighton Kalachny, who dropped 7 in the title game. Now the girls can celebrate for a little bit, but they got to get ready for district play. They get the tough Yoakum Bulldogs, who are right around the corner on January 2nd. Now we have some district play earlier this afternoon. The Cuero ladies welcome Fox Tech, and Cuero's ranked for a reason. They absolutely took it to Fox Tech 64-14. Aubrey Bowles game high 24 points. Mariana Da Silva had 20. So two girls with huge games. The girls are now 2-0 in district play, and they get a very good Lavernia team on January 5th. And not only is it basketball season, but it's also soccer season. The West boys played at Memorial Stadium last night. They didn't win. They didn't lose. They finished in a 1-1 tie against Laredo South United. Gustavo Zamora had the lone goal for the West side. Next up for the boys, they get the Gonzales Apaches. That game, January 2nd. District play for the guys still about 3 weeks away, so they're just tuning up for what they hope is a follow-up to last year's great season. The West girls in action today. Their game was against Angleton. That game now started a little bit after 4 p.m. at Memorial Stadium. So I do not have a final score in that game just yet, but much like the boys, they are also hoping to build off of last year's season. They graduated some. We will see how the young talent does. There's a new bowl game in town, and their mascot stole the show, the Pop-Tarts Bowl. He made a grand entrance, jumping out of his toaster, spent the entire game making his presence felt, and then I guess when he got tired, he went back inside his toasty little home, but afterwards, they ate him. One of the better celebrations of this bowl season. And Don, we got a little bit of big news. It's being said that Trevor Lawrence might not play this Sunday. The Texans are tied for first in that AFC South. Don, back to you.
Zach, if you're the coach of the team that loses in the Pop-Tart Bowl, are you toast?
I guess you're toast. You're also jealous because you don't get to eat the Pop-Tart afterwards.
Oh, that's right. I like that part. All right, Zach, thank you. We're back in a moment. Getting ready for New Year's Eve in the Big Apple. The annual confetti test took place in Times Square. Finally tonight, the annual confetti test in Times Square took place this morning. There it goes! With the New Year's Eve ball drop in Times Square just 2 days away, organizers are making sure every detail falls into place. The annual confetti test is part of the rehearsal to be sure everything for the iconic celebration in Times Square is ready to go. New Year's Eve crowds are expected to be back to pre-pandemic levels, and you can see the ball drop right here on this station live on Sunday night from Times Square. And good to see people getting back out there and celebrating. And it's going to be a lot of fun on New Year's Eve. But be careful out there. Be careful. How about the weather for New Year's Eve if people are driving around? And
for here, we're looking fantastic.
Yeah.
You future it not so good, but let's take a look what we got here. So first of all, okay, there we go. So there's the weekend. See that? Warm weather, nice.
Yeah.
But then on the horizon in the north, you get the cold air dropping down, and then eventually from the west, you see that storm out there. That could push in Tuesday and into Wednesday and bring us some showers. But for New Year's Eve, when most people are celebrating, because Sunday they're home watching football, or not Sunday, but New Year's Day, we're watching football. New Year's Eve when everyone's out, hey, it's looking fantastic. Now, one more chilly evening night tonight. We're going to be in the 40s, but look at that, 36 overnight tonight. But after that, the weekend looking superb. Look at Saturday, 68 and sunny. I'll sign up for that somewhere. If you got a contract, Don, I'll definitely sign up for it. But looking ahead, here's what we got. So after New Year's Eve, yeah, we cool down, and then we get some rain chances next week.
Sounds like. All right, Howie, thanks, and thanks for joining us. We'll see you tonight for 25 News Now at 10.